Hello, welcome to Triggered Care Mobile Phone Edition. And today I wanted to talk about flashbacks. Last week I was bombarded with flashbacks and I had a really rough time with it. And so I was just thinking, why not talk about my experiences a bit? Because I know that while I was going through it, I felt so lonely and so sad that I got to a really low place. And I have amazing friends who helped me through it the entire way. I'm very blessed and happy with my support system. But even having that support system, it was still really hard. And I know that when I went through flashbacks without a good support system, it was absolute hell. So I kind of wanted to talk about it and hopefully offer some validation for those of us who do suffer from flashbacks. These specific flashbacks that I was going through was a lot of childhood flashbacks and a lot of rape flashbacks. And it's really hard having those types of flashbacks when you have to continue living life and you have to continue going to work, and then people talk to you and you have no idea what to say to them because your brain is miles away and you don't want to be a downer and you don't want to take up space. And I think what makes flashbacks really difficult for me the last 6 months to a year has been, after the divorce, not having somebody to hold me or hug me or really touch me when I want that consoling comfort. And so last week when I went through all the flashbacks of hell, I feel like I lost my brain a little bit. It's very choppy for what I can remember now from last week. I remember peak psychotic moments of being at work or being in public and crying and acting like a child and hating myself, and that inner monologue of why am I like this? Why can't I be normal? What's wrong with me? My abuser was right. I am just a whore. My abuser was right. I am stupid. I don't belong here. And with the quarantine and like national trauma that we're all going through right now, I feel like everybody's more susceptible to flashbacks and to remembering trauma just because traumatic things are happening to us nationally on a worldwide scale. So already being in a more chaotic state of mind makes those chaotic memories from our past way easier to remember, and that is incredibly difficult to manage, especially during a quarantine when you're not supposed to be seeing people. And support online is awesome and great, but also there's still the loneliness, and it makes a difference talking to someone face to face versus just messaging back and forth sometimes. Sometimes when I'm super triggered out or activated, I cannot type or text or message well at all. It just frustrates me. And I feel like I can't say anything right. Like I'll type out whatever message I wanted to say and then I'll just stare at it and be like, that's so stupid. Why would you say that? You're manipulating them by talking about your feelings. And then if I don't talk about my feelings, it's like, why are you doing that? You're manipulating them by lying to them. And like, they're not gonna like you, and you're such a robot, or you're such a whatever. And it's just really hard. And I'm finally feeling better. Today and yesterday were much better days. And I've been wanting to make a video. And I'm like, what do I make a video about? Now that I have like some relief for a little bit, because chances are it's gonna get bumpy again. And then it's like, just talk about your last week being awful and see if people can relate, or even if they can't, maybe it will shed some light on why sometimes people don't know what to say or talk about even when they need help. It's so hard to reach out for help. It's so hard to be like, hey, I'm really vulnerable. Please, please talk to me. Please pay attention to me. And then even when you do get that attention, it can feel awful where you want to run away from it. Not because the person's being mean to you. They can be perfectly sweet and nice, but you still want to run away from it because it's like, oh, somebody's looking at me and this feels gross. This feels awful. I don't want to see them. I don't want them to see me in this spot. I actually had a really intense flashback in front of a friend of mine who's never seen a flashback like that before from me. And afterwards, I hated myself for a little while, and it about 2 days of just self-loathing and more flashbacks and just hating that this friend saw me like this and saw me that vulnerable and saw me in a really hard spot where I couldn't control my body and I couldn't control my emotions. And they were very sweet about it. Like, hey, it's okay. You don't have control over these things. And it's understandable. And it's valid. Very knowledgeable, sweet friend. Responding in the right way. And I still hated myself. And was like, I'm so stupid. I'm going to have to cut off this friendship forever now. Because they saw me like that. Which, now that I got some distance from it, it's like, okay, maybe don't cut off a supportive friend who was actually really helpful during a really horrible, intense flashback. Like, maybe keep that friend around. And maybe you want to make more friends like that. But it was still so overwhelming. And it's not simple or easy in the slightest bit to get a good support system in the first place. And then even when you have that support system, to not utilize it, but to actually allow yourself to fall back on it when you need it. Because there's still a good chunk of my brain that will tell me repeatedly that I'm useless and that I don't deserve love and I don't deserve friendship, and that I'm a burden to everyone that I meet, and that I am like a dark cloud that will infect people because I have too sad of stories, or my moods, my attitude is contagious and it will make everyone in my life miserable if I share my feelings with them. But that's not the case. As I slowly and painfully explore what it's like to have a healthy support system, what I have found is the more I'm vulnerable and share with my supportive friends, the more they share and are vulnerable with me, and it makes the loneliness just a little bit better. Even if they can't hold me or hug me while I'm going through it, or even if it's just over messaging or whatever it is, it's still touching my heart a little bit and making it easier to wake up just slightly. There's still those days where I wake up and I'm like, I don't want to get out of bed. I don't want to deal with life anymore. There's still the suicidal ideation that really ramps up when it's really intense, and all that I suffer from. However, I think my job has helped me a lot with being more healthy and opening up more to people. It's super uncomfortable still. I still get a lot of moments where I'm like, why am I sharing this much? First of all, it's just making more memories come back, which really sucks sometimes. Most of the time, actually. And it's making me super uncomfortable with the friendship, because then I'm like, oh, they're going to learn too much about me. They're going to realize how needy I am, and they're going to drop me. And so I want to drop them first. And then it's been a struggle to be like, no, Alex, slow your roll. You don't need to cut them off just because they saw a flashback or just because you're going through pain right now. They will set healthy boundaries for themselves. If they are overwhelmed, they will tell you. And you can set healthy boundaries for yourself of if you're overwhelmed with them talking to you or them being around you. They will respect it if you're like, hey, I need some space. They will also respond in a caring way, whether they can come over or not. If I'm like, hey, I'm scared, I'm lonely, can you come out and talk? And if they say no, it's never like, no, that's a waste of space. They're like, I'm sorry, I'm not in the right mental headspace, but I can chat with you, or we can connect later. And it's nice because it's a lot more direct than past relationships and friendships that were way more passive aggressive. And also, I never felt comfortable in past relationships and friendships to be like, hey, I'm really struggling right now. Usually, my usual go-to is to hunker down in my room, watch some TV shows so I don't think anymore, and pray to God that I eat someday, because eating is impossible, talking seems impossible, just everything seems impossible. And that's slowly changing, and it's a painful, weird process. It's very painful and weird, but also it is better, I think. I don't know. My memory has been awful. So, I don't even know if this will make sense, but I hope that it does. So, yeah, I just wanted to make a video about flashbacks and how much they suck. And then trying to open up to people, which is awkward and weird, but also good, but also really uncomfortable. And yeah, also with everything going on, I feel like for me personally, my flashbacks have been pretty persistent, along with hallucinations and just trying to live life and feeling overwhelmed all the time. So if you're suffering from stuff like that, you are not alone. Please share some of your stories, and if you don't want to, that's fine too, though. You know, no obligations. But if you so choose, me and the other viewers would love to read them and to offer support if we can. So, that is my video for today. I hope everyone has good ones.